All right. Hi, everyone. I'm here with the Phaidra Knight, the eighth woman in history to be inducted into the Rugby Hall of Fame and World Rugby Hall of Fame at that, and the very first African American to do so. Welcome, Phaidra.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you, Molly.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you, we were out in sunny San Diego a couple years ago. Right?
Yeah, times are different for sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, how are you holding up over there?
I'm good. All things considered, I'm lucky. I'm safe. I'm healthy, and I'm, in a beautiful place right now. And I know a lot of people aren't, and so I'm grateful for where I am and what I have. Times like this really kind of bring it all to a point. So I'm okay. I can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where are you currently at, and what have you been up to the last couple months?
So I'm physically in the Hamptons. I relocated March 15th out of New York City in anticipation for what we see, just a bit of a panicked and anxiety-stricken city. I wanted to get out. My partner and I wanted to get out to give our dogs a little bit more space and to also give us a bit more space and, not tax, honestly, the system in the city, putting us, if we were at risk for contracting the COVID-19, then that puts more stress on the healthcare system and overall just not good. So we felt like we had a better shot, at avoiding it and also just kind of carrying out all the things we have going on by getting out here. So I have been training earnestly for mixed martial arts since June of 2019. And so, I was, after my academy, I trained at the Henso Gracie Academy, big shout out there. And the academy closed on the Friday prior to us coming out here. And so I was like, well, that's where I spent basically all day. I have no reason to really be in the city, so let's split. So I've been out here training solo every day, just
Wow.
living that life. So yeah.
Wow. Absolutely. So, have you officially hung up your boots, and is this your new hobby adventure? What's your plan with this?
Oh yeah, girl, those boots are long hung up. Those are hung up, boxed up, and burned. I am done with playing rugby. It was a fantastic, fantastic career. But I retired officially in 2017, and I have not played any contact rugby since. I think I played in like a co-ed tag match last summer, but yeah, that was it. I am done. I'm done with rugby for
Yeah,
sure.
I think the last game I played against you, and we played in the University of San Diego Stadium, where
Right?
the
Yes.
pro San Diego
Yes.
team plays, and yeah, I think I still have an awesome shot of you tackling me to the ground. So one of my favorite memories, and of course my last
That's cool.
real rugby memory. Um,
Yeah.
so kind of
Awesome.
tying back into rugby, like how did you start playing? When did you start playing? And who got you into playing rugby?
I have to give credit to a woman named Kelly Canary who actually asked me to come out to play. Um, she was in Wisconsin, but I started playing during I guess at the conclusion of my first year of law school in your mighty state where you are right now, Madison, Wisconsin. I was a first year law student. Um, I was looking to walk on to the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team because I had been out of team sport since high school. And I was at a law school social, met Kelly. She was there with, I think, her partner at the time. And she just out of nowhere just like asked me, hey, have you ever played rugby, or would you be interested in playing rugby? And at that time, I had no idea. I don't think I had ever even heard the word rugby. And so it was like, what's that? She's like, oh, it's sort of like football. And I'm like, you get tackled? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, this is interesting. So, she went on, did her little sales pitch, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do it. And I ended up in the area that following Monday, just driving around. And I think I just left shooting hoops and dropped by this practice field. I saw these women out practicing, throwing around this really oddly shaped ball. And I went out, and that was pretty much it. They just threw me in. I think they were playing, they were doing like some opposition, scrimmaging at the end of training, and they threw me in. I had absolutely no idea what the heck I was doing, but
always starts that
like
way.
everybody else. Yeah, like everybody else. It's like, okay, put her on the wing and stir the ball and see what her instincts do. And I just started running through people, and that was pretty much it. I was like, this is great. I'm gonna come back when you guys doing this again. I gotta go get a mouth guard, and I'm back. So that was pretty much all she wrote. Basketball became a very distant memory, and rugby became like an infatuation. And then a love affair.
Yeah, right. A love and hate affair, depending on the season and how your body's feeling. And hey, it's snowing. Maybe I don't like this game as much anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I love that story. I mean, similar to probably a lot of ours. So how many Rugby World Cups have you played in? And do you remember your favorite tournament? Do you remember your favorite international location where you got to play?
Man, that question. Well, I played in 3 Rugby World Cups. I can't answer that. I was training for a 4th, and then had an opportunity to do commentating for NBC for the 2017 World Cup, and so that's when I officially hung up the boots and decided, it's time to do something different. But man, favorite tournaments, it would have to be, the 2006 epic national championship, club championship that was in Orlando, Florida. And it was the year that New York Rugby Club dethroned Berkeley All Blues. Actually, we dethroned them in the semifinals, and then I think we beat the Minnesota Valkyries in the final, if I'm recalling correctly. So that was like the best weekend ever for so many reasons. It was a crazy weekend for me personally. I think, that was when we play on, we play Friday and then have Saturday off, and then play again, finals on Sunday. So we played Friday, and I had a wedding that weekend. Now, I'll remind you that during that time, my hair was much shorter. I was a good 25 pounds heavier. I had traps up to my ears, and I clearly had no understanding of what I looked like, and none of you people, none of you included, you knew me, I think, then. And if not, none of my rugby peeps clued me in on what I looked like. But anyway, we're in nationals. We win this Friday, the Friday game, and I think I made a bet with Rebecca Brofman and the rest of the team. I said, you know what? If we win nationals on Sunday, I will wear the gold lame dress that I have to wear at my cousin's wedding on Saturday. And it's this gold dress that's off the shoulders. I mean, it was a crazy bet, because I had all the faith in the world in my teammates, but I didn't think we were going to win nationals. So maybe it was Berkeley we played with. And we won. It was crazy. I remember, like, God heard that that wager, and God was just like, you know what, we're gonna make this happen. Like I was kicking grubbers to Benicia McGee, she was catching them and running in like the ball for tries, like everything just sort of clicked, and we won nationals. And I had to wear this golden maid dress out, and just to top it off, we were staying at one of the properties of Disney. So there were kids and families. So it was already kind of weird scene for rugby. You had all these liberal, progressive rugby players, and you had all these families walking around Disney. And I said 2006. It was actually, yeah, it was 2006. So 2006 seems like so long ago. But there was the Paralympic rugby team, the quad rugby team, and Mark Zupan was the captain at the time. So they were like infatuated with rugby. They were down training, and they fell in love with us on Friday, like the entire rugby like community. And so they were out supporting the games. And so we're out with them at this property, getting ready to go out on Sunday night to celebrate. I'm walking around in a golden maid dress with like traps and pecs, popping out everywhere. And you've got, Mark Zupan and crew, rolling around in their wheelchairs being obnoxious. And these cabs come and pick us up, right? These vans to take us out. And so in the middle of a parking lot, you've got families again. I keep saying we got these families. You've got a bunch of like, really unconventional women, big, strong, like Lisa Lake, Annie Collier, lifting these people, lifting Mark and his crew into the vehicles. Yeah, so it was real crazy. It was a really crazy time. It was a fantastic time, and as you know, after every rugby tournament, everybody comes together. Such a worldwide thing, right? Doesn't matter where you are, what country you're in. It was a mess. I mean, it was just a massive shit show. But that was definitely one of my favorite memories. There was a great crew. You had Drew Fautley, you had Chris Ryan Pudge, Tyshawn. I think Tyshawn was there, Kenya. It was just awesome. Kelly McMahon. I mean, the list goes on. Robin O'Hare. Yeah. So it was just a great time. So to get to your second part of your question, my favorite tour, New Zealand always sticks with me. It was just so beautiful. And I didn't see so much. Yeah. I didn't see so much because I was there twice. I was there in 99 and I was there again in 03, playing with the all world team. And we were training all the time, and we played 2 matches during the time we were there. But the little bit of time that we did have to kind of mingle with, the folks there and have some cultural experiences, it was just amazing. So good. So I got to say, New Zealand is a place to go. So I'm looking forward to next year World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. New Zealand is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, most important question from that story you shared. Do you still have that dress?
Do you recall a woman named Junior from Washington, D.C.? Maybe that was before your time.
I've been playing for a long time. I've been playing for longer than most people think. About 15 years.
All right, so maybe you knew Junior. Junior, I think Junior played everywhere. She played second row. She played wing. Well, she walked away with that dress that night. I after riding the mechanical bull and losing all the skin on my inner thighs, I decided I'll wear it a little bit longer, and then I got to get rid of this thing. So I took it off, and the last I saw it, it was on the bathroom floor, in a random bar. So, and then it was reported that Junior was in the dress. So I think, I don't have it anymore. I don't need.
On to a new story.
It's better served elsewhere.
Love it. Okay. Moving on, I guess those were hard to beat stories, but what is your favorite rugby position in sevens and in 15s and why?
Well, I think once I got to play scrum half. I love scrum half. I would love to come back in my next life and be a scrum half. But I played prop in sevens, so I'd have to say that was my favorite. Um, it, you know, it allowed most times I was propping against someone who was, smaller or not as quite as strong as me, so it gave me a little bit of an ego boost. It was that one time in a sevens match that actually I won, right? uh, Put me up against that person in a foot race and forget about it. But sevens was propping. I liked it. It's what I knew. And then 15, I mean, it was absolutely flanking, right? Like I played a little bit in the centers early on in my career. I played prop early on in my career. I played hooker at the end of my career, and I played flanker for most of my career. And absolutely hands down best position on the pitch. You get to play with the backs, you get to do the hard work with the forwards. You kind of have a free pass to sort of set the test the limits of the ref in the game, and I just love that. And you kind of like a free radical. I mean, if you go out there and smash people over and over again, you can kind of make your own music. You don't have to necessarily be in this choreography of the rest of the team. You just naturally kind of fit in. And I really like playing that role. And so definitely flanking.
Yeah, and if you're one of the best tacklers out there, that's probably the position for you. So I think you fit in just fine.
That's history. That's history.
Like I said, almost said before, when you say you hang up your cleats, do we ever really? I don't think so.
Listen, I think hanging up my cleats as a competitive, I can't imagine doing a lot of things unless they're like competitive to the nth degree. It's so hard for me to regulate anything in between. Mm-hmm. So, I've since then I've coached a little bit. Obviously I've done, broadcast and love doing that. And I have to say, like, when I'm doing commentating, it feels like I'm in the match, right? And so in some respects, I guess, no, I haven't completely. You never hang up your cleats, but I certainly don't have. It took a long time for me to kind of shake that desire to, or to be done with playing, right? Yeah. I thought, it's time to be done, but I wasn't done. When I walked away from the game, I think in 2012 or 2011 for a couple of years, and then I wanted to come back and try for Olympic, glory. Like the odds were massively stacked against me, but I didn't care. It was that passion and desire to want to play and want to, give it all I had, and I had the opportunity to do so. And so I knew that I could not walk away until I was actually good with walking away and done. And so, I'm involved with USA Rugby Board of Directors. I do as much as I can to stay connected to the game. I'll never shake it. It's always going to be a part of us, even when we stop playing. But I don't know. Maybe some old girl get matches, here and there if I get the call. But I guess you never really hang up your cleats, but you can be done in the competitive sense. So, yeah.
Well, I will tell you that it was a pleasure, training you, working with you, coaching you on those beach rugby sessions. Those are
some good times. Some hard fitness, but some good times.
Well,
equally grateful, mutual feeling.
All right. Moving on again. Let's. Who's one of the most positive teammates that you've ever played with? Who did you just love stepping on the field with because you knew that they just had the energy and the passion for the game. You know, was it somebody you've played with recently? Was it somebody you've played with back in college? Who was that person?
Man,
Who comes to mind?
there's so many people. I can't limit it to just one. I mean,
You can name a few. Go ahead.
name a few. Oh man, and then I'm gonna forget someone, and then I'm gonna get like massive, massive shade for that.
We can move on if you want to pass the question too.
Let's see. Let me think about that. Let's say from Wisconsin. I had my crew when I first started, like Sherry Dahlberg. Always positive. God, who else? Yeah, Diane Milligan, Jill Peckham. I mean, Jerry Steele. Those girls are always just, that whole team. Dawn Turnipseed. I mean, they were all fantastic, right? Like everybody was intense and brought their own way of motivating. But it was always a positive sort of atmosphere. And then, the Midwest team, that was a fantastic group of people. I had Farrah Douglas, Crazy Farrah. Man, it was so fun. You had like Libby Kaplan, Vichy, and Jen Sinkler. I think they were all on that team, but you had that crew. I mean, I know I'm forgetting people, but like, Ham, Kristen, she'll be known as Ham. Nobody knows her as her real name. So, yeah, you had a whole host of people like Sarah Shabbat. Think about her. It was awesome playing with her on the US Sevens team. Ellie Karvosky. Geez, I mean, there's so many. Diane Schnapp, Jess Olive, all those people. Alex Williams. I played with some very legendary people, right? Patty Jervey, Heather Hale. It was just a fantastic thing. And then New York Rugby Club, that entire, that whole club, everyone, right? I mean, I had some funny times with like Katie Brethel on the pitch because it was, some things need to remain confidential, I will say, but I will also say that, you had to have fun. You had to have fun between, tackles and running to the next play. And I would say some of the craziest stuff, and they were just cool with it. Everybody was cool with it. I think the biggest thing, I'll give a shout out, and this is a little bit more serious, but to all of my teammates, because I think, and I'm still a work in progress, but God, I was working through so much like stuff, right? When I was in those years, working through all sorts of emotional stuff. My mental health wasn't always great. And so, people were they just, even if they didn't like me, or they didn't like it, they were still good teammates. And I wasn't always maybe a good teammate, right? But they were good teammates and they dealt with it and they let me keep coming. And so it's a really cool thing. And so the rugby community at large, right, is pretty fantastic like that. It's a special thing. So yeah, I called out some names, but honestly, everybody that I've ever played with has been pretty super.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about the rugby culture. And I mean, even I played against you guys a few times in sevens championships and whatnot. And
played with each other, right? The surfers.
Yeah. Yep. So just remember playing against you, New York, and the club, the community is one of the best I've ever seen. So
well, playing with the surfers, even, like God, Kara and True. I mean, everybody. It was awesome. It was a good group. Everyone was so positive and such incredible athletes, right? Like a really great team. So, yeah. And the crazy thing is the year before we're beating the hell out of each other, and then, there's this embrace of come play with us. And it's the greatest. This is why rugby is one of the greatest sports in the world.
The greatest, right?
Yeah, the greatest. Absolutely the greatest. Hands down.
Gosh.
Although mixed martial arts, rugby's the greatest.
I get it. But it's kind of one and the same, right?
Yeah, but yeah.
We'll leave.
Rugby's a little different though. Rugby's a little different.
So not only as a World Rugby Hall of Famer, but I remember, you were a law student with Wisconsin, and are you still practicing, or what have you been spending your time doing in the last few years since you've hung up the boots besides
Girl,
martial arts?
God. I hung up the boots. I hung up law years ago. And because I was supporting this rugby habit, right? I wasn't passionate about it, and it's really hard for me to put myself in 110% if I'm just not feeling it. It's if it bores me, it's not good. And so, I supported my rugby habit with random jobs, um, and then but then this television opportunity came about, right? And I'm like, you know what? That's actually something I would love to pursue. Um, you know, seriously at some point in my life, right? Like now is a great opportunity to really get some experience, but to really go like dive in, when the time is right. And then this mixed martial arts thing popped up, and so you asked, what am I doing now? I am doing a couple of things, probably too much, but I'm training full time with an ambition of being a professional competitive mixed martial artist, um, and I'm also launching a clothing line in the fall of 2020, which I'm
Awesome.
very excited about. Yep, I teamed up with probably some of the best people, some of the best clothing makers, distributors, and manufacturers in the world to release a line. And it's more than just a clothing line. It's a collective that's in the face of this collective will be female athletes. Some are Olympic gold medalists, some are college athletes, some will be high school athletes. We'll get some very young athletes that the whole point though is of this line is to support girls and women in sports and life. And so one of the things we've dedicated a large portion of our proceeds that we make is to, in year one, the Women's Sports Foundation. But we will donate a large portion of our proceeds at all times to a 501c3 that supports that cause. And so I'm really excited about it. It's a fusion of, I guess, streetwear and lifestyle brand, really tailored probably for the Gen Zers, but I think everyone could probably find something in this line that they would love. So I'm super excited about it. We got some fantastic names. We got Nia Tapper in the rugby community, and Nicole Heverland signed in for it. We've got some other folks like Meryl Davis, who's an Olympic figure skater. So yeah, we're pretty excited. Pretty exciting times. So I'm doing that. Still doing a bit of broadcast, doing the MMA thing. So yeah, pretty busy.
Being a little busy, huh?
Yeah, and then something that I'm not necessarily involved in all the time, day in and day out, but I do some coaching and am involved in some of the operational stuff of Peak Unleashed, which is a nonprofit that we kicked off back in January of 2019, and with Peak, our mission is to bring some physical and personal development to incarcerated youth, and we will expand to include sexually exploited girls, and rugby and yoga. We bring rugby and yoga to this demographic.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a pretty awesome. That's another pretty awesome thing. But we've got a fantastic team, small but really doing the work, and we're just looking to grow.
That's amazing. That some of those projects seem very fulfilling, and thank you for for being a part of that.
Yeah.
I did read that bit on the Forbes magazine, and that just everything about it is awesome. So thank you for that. And do you have any mental health suggestions for rugby players right now? And how have you been staying positive through all of this? Has it been all these projects kind of giving you life, or what's really been helping you out in these times?
I think for me, probably the thing that keeps me going is the thing that's also disables me. And because I've had so many things going on, I have not been devoting the amount of time that I need to self-care meditation. And so just yesterday, man, I had a really low moment. And I'm again, like I'm not in the thick of the city. I've got like place to run. I've got places to train here, so none of that really matters if your mental health is, suffering. And, I think everyone, it's something that we all go through, right? Low times, like you can't even, for me, it can be so dark, that it's like, what am I doing? Why am I even here? I've struggled for most of my life with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. And so, halfway through the month, I'm dealing with a hormonal imbalance, a chemical imbalance that is, it's really hard to contend with. For years, I've gone unmedicated because I've, wanted to tend to it by way of diet. Just recently, I started taking, a mild pharmaceutical for it. But it's tough. And when you are in isolation or you're not able to do the things that really you thrive, and really are your livelihood, you really have to, I think, take time and just focus on basics, right? Like that's what makes meditation so incredibly powerful. It's time alone to go inside, and you can block out the distractions and the comparisons of you to other people and all those things. You can then all you have is the moment right now, right? And when you can just focus on that moment, just your breath, that's everything's good. You can take breath in and release. It's a good thing. So for me, it was just hitting that reset button. It's talking to people that are positive influences in my life, which is what I did yesterday. My partner was one of those people. I called up a couple of folks, and was just brutally honest with where I was in the moment, and they, talked me off of the ledge. And so it's just having good support systems around you, even if they aren't, physically around you, and not being afraid to reach out and say, hey, I need a little bit of support. But at the same time, being able to provide that support to others when they need it, because that a lot of times can pull you out of a dark place too. So I think it's a hard thing, and it's hard to be vulnerable, especially when you play sports like rugby and you're a fighter, right? You've always got to be have your guard up. But when you're not on the pitch, when you're not in the octagon, I think it's important to really let your guard down and be real. And that's, I think, how you're able to let things in, and release things that don't serve you, and move through those moments, because we all go through it. And it's a state of just being human. So
Oh, absolutely.
Human condition.
Yeah, great points. I mean, the nice thing about rugby is, you've got at least 10 teammates on your team that you can call at any moment.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't talked to them in 2 years, they would be more than happy to talk with you and to just, share some laughs. And
absolutely.
That's awesome. Great reminders. And any other words of encouragement for our rugby athletes who are trying to, not just physically work to where you're at, but mentally, get to where you're at now, and kind of just push through this rough time?
Yeah, I mean, this is in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about, you know, under 2 months, right? That we've been in this state of sort of stillness. It's not a lot of time, right? Your body probably needed the time to heal. Um, so take the time to watch as much rugby, watch sports, watch, like how the human body moves, the mechanics of it, you know, and do what you can where you are, right? If you need to have a physical release, drop down and do push-ups, do sit-ups, do body weight stuff. That stuff is, as I've learned, is the more important than anything. But take this time to really sort of take in the things that you don't have time to, when you're not in shelter in place situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and be good with it, because if you can get through, I think, this time when we're very limited, we're kind of back to basics, and get some appreciation and really make some enjoyment of that. Everything else is easy, and you'll look back on this time and say, dang, I wish I had that time in quarantine again, right? We certainly don't wish for the suffering that's happening as a result of this horrible virus, but there are some benefits to having this time, and so it's all about finding that silver lining. There's always one in every cloud, and so I just encourage you to just look around you and just try to find some gratitude in everything that you have, everything everywhere that you are. So
Yeah. I mean, great points. Body weight movements, just moving your body a little bit. And even if it's gentle mobility or,
great.
right,
Yeah.
it's just consistently listening to your body.
Well, what we do have is we have the internet, right? And virtually everything you can imagine is on there.
Yeah.
So it's not like we are living in the 1970s or even 80s for that matter, and we don't have resources, things that we can kind of call on,
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And that's what Rugby Nation, that's what we're here for. We're trying to we're trying to get out there and say, hey, like, what do you guys need from us? We're just trying to grow the game, and let us know how we can help. So
Awesome.
Anything else you want to add? Did we miss anything? Do you want to, is there, I feel like you have so many awesome projects going on. Is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
I will mention, as a part of my clothing line, I created, well, it's not a part of it, but it will launch in conjunction with it. So I want to give everyone a heads up. I've created the equal pay rugby jersey, and some of the proceeds, a portion of proceeds will support the Women's Sports Foundation, but I'm gonna take my profits from this project, and I'm going to donate them to the US Women's National Team. This is breaking news, right? So when these things hit the market, I need you all, Rugby Nation, everybody that's following, to get out there and buy it. It's awesome jerseys. They but the message, obviously, equal pay, was inspired by the U.S. women's soccer, mission. But it's something that, everyone, I mean, every sport, even tennis, which is far beyond everyone else, right, needs to bridge in terms of that gap. And so, buy your equal pay jersey. Get it while it's hot. So I'll definitely get back to you and let you know when those are going to be available.
Yeah.
Where you can find them, but it'd be great, because what you're doing is really you're supporting some tremendous causes. You're supporting our U.S. Women's 15s team as they prepare for the World Cup next year.
Awesome. I love it. We'll definitely be, talking about that when it gets released. And Phaidra, thank you again so much for your time and all of your great stories and memories, and stay safe and healthy, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Phaidra. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.